Barbara Starr, thanks so much. I want to bring in former Republican Congressman Mike Rogers. He was chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. He's also a former FBI agent. He recently returned from a visit to South Korea. Congressman, how concerned are the South Koreans, both the South Korean people and also the South Korean government, about this current situation?
You know, it's odd on the streets of Seoul. Even with this detention level that we're seeing internationally, they look at it as Tuesday, Jake. They said, listen, we've been putting up with this kind of saber rattling from the north for 65 years, and we can't let it get to us. We've got to go about our lives. Looks like calm and every other day. The government officials, on the other hand, are very, very concerned. The tension level, the number and increase of the testing of both ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons really has the South Koreans concerned. And the other piece of this is there's something called Korean passing, meaning they reiterated this a lot in those conversations. Whatever the U.S. and its allies do, don't leave Korea out of that equation. They believe their military is ready if it's needed, and they also are ready for some strong diplomatic relationships and discussions with North Korea. They just want to be part of that mix in the decision-making. That was something that they reiterated in every official meeting that I had.
Now, obviously, there's been a lot of muscle flexing and hot rhetoric from the Trump administration, obviously much more even from North Korea. What are the South Korean government officials that you spoke with, what are they hoping to see from President Trump and his administration on this issue, beyond including them in the conversations?
Well, and they have some political differences as well. There are some that want to be more open and accepting to a nuclear North Korea, and some that say, hey, we can't let that happen. We better put the military option on the top. So they're having their own discussions as we speak. Really four options that the United States looks at, and they're all real options. They all have a different set of consequences. First is decapitation, meaning you strike the leadership, including Kim Jong-un and some of the senior leaders around him, take them out of the equation. The second piece is that limited strike on its nuclear capability, the ability to produce, design the people, the way that they can get those rockets to and from their launch pads. All of that would be a fair game, limited strike option. The next one down is full on, let's get it done. Take out the 8,000 some artillery tubes on the border, or as many as you can, and move South Korean troops over the border or over the DMZ. That's all, that's obviously a bad one. It has huge casualty counts. But they're all real options. And by the way, Jake, all of the things you see happening with our Defense Department is preparation for a real military exercise. And I know why they're doing that. They're sending a very clear signal to Kim Jong-un, listen, this is for real. And hopefully it goes into the last one, which is we have few diplomatic things left. We're willing to do those, but you're going to have to cooperate. And I think what they're doing is trying to set the table for a stronger and a better negotiated diplomatic solution at the end of the day.
And theoretically, any of the military options you just described would set off not only the deaths of innocent people in North Korea, but North Korea would fire into South Korea at the very least, perhaps even Japan. We're talking theoretically thousands and thousands of innocent people killed if the U.S. military launches a strike.
Well, depending on which option that they might take, Jake, that number is actually much higher. There's some estimates in the millions of casualties. Remember, he has the ability, Kim Jong-un can launch the artillery strikes. It's 8,000 tubes. That puts an artillery round, if all of them are functioning and all of them are firing, about one artillery round for every 3 square foot in the city of Seoul, which is a city of about 25 million people. Just that alone is devastating, let alone missiles and then all the things that come after it, including biological and chemical, which we clearly know that he has. So the modeling for these things are not good. I think that's why you heard McMaster say, we do have military options and we're prepared to use them. That's true. We have all of the options I just described. What every person in the national security debate talks about is, what are the consequences of each one of those, and can you mitigate it? Can you stop the violence before it escalates into something, a full kinetic conflict that you can't get out of until millions of people are dead? And that's all of these equations, and these have been modeled like 10 ways to Sunday about what options are possible and aren't. I thought it was interesting. The South Koreans just announced a decapitation brigade that they're training. pretty public way of sending a message to Kim Jong-un that we're going to have a lot of specialized troops that can go in and take you out if we have to do it.
Right.
Pretty interesting.
And also, of course, we're hearing increased voices, number of people like former General James Clapper, former Director of National Intelligence, saying that the U.S. might have to, and then the world might have to learn to live with a nuclear North Korea because these options are so horrific. Former House Intelligence Chairman Mike Rogers, thank you so much. And you can see Mike tomorrow night on CNN's special episode of Declassified. This episode will deal with the arrest of Cuba's most notorious spy. It's a great show. It's Saturday.